You know how some people are addicted to the hustle? That wasn't me. I wasn't trying to be a superstar or climb some imaginary corporate ladder. I just wanted to do my job, do it well, and go home. That was my deal when I started working at Ashford Logistics 5 years ago. First, it worked. I was the guy who always hit his targets, showed up early, helped new hires settle in. I wasn't flashy, but I was reliable, and for a while that was enough. But then something shifted. Quietly, almost invisibly. It started with the emails. Late-night ones from my manager, David, with subject lines like "Quick thoughts before Monday," sent at 10:42 p.m. on Saturday. At first, I ignored them and answered on Monday. But then he started replying within minutes with lines like, "Need this urgently?" or "Just a few minutes of your time." Then came the calendar invites. Friday 5:30 p.m. meetings. Weekend check-ins. Slack messages sent on Sunday mornings that made it clear. If you weren't online, you weren't seen as part of the team. At first, I tried to be reasonable. I'd log in occasionally just to acknowledge something urgent. But it never stopped there. The more I gave, the more they asked. One Friday, David called a quick huddle that dragged on for over an hour. He talked about our biggest client yet, Horizon Freight. We were going to integrate their systems into ours over the next 60 days, and it was all hands on deck. We're a mission-driven team, he said with that irritating fake smile. This is the time to show leadership. Then he dropped the bomb. We'll need weekend availability from everyone starting tomorrow. Just like that. No warning. No overtime. No discussion. I looked around the room. No one said a word. Most stared blankly or nodded. A few looked defeated. But I couldn't do it. I just promised my little brother I'd take him out of town for his birthday, something we hadn't done in years. My family was already used to me missing holidays, showing up late to dinners, skipping vacations. But this time I'd drawn a line. So after the meeting, I waited until most of the team cleared out. Then I approached David. "Hey," I said casually, "just so you know, I won't be available this weekend. I have personal commitments." His entire demeanor changed in a second. His smile disappeared. His brows creased like I'd just insulted his mother. "Jason, this is a pivotal moment. We're counting on everyone to step up." "I've stepped up for 5 years," I replied, calm but firm. "But my weekends? They're not in the contract. If you need me to work outside standard hours, we need to talk about compensation." He didn't even try to hide his disdain. "Wow. Okay. I see where your priorities are." He didn't say anything else. Just walked off like I'd committed some kind of betrayal. I left the office with a pit in my stomach, but also a strange sense of peace. For the first time in a long while, I chose me over their unspoken rules. Little did I know, the punishment was just beginning. Monday morning arrived with a strange chill in the air, and I don't mean the weather. As I walked into the office, I noticed something different. The usual greetings weren't there. Colleagues who normally gave me a friendly nod or shared a joke at the coffee machine suddenly looked busy, eyes glued to their screens. The air felt tense. I brushed it off at first. Maybe everyone was just stressed with the new client. But then I checked my calendar and froze. 3 meetings I was scheduled to lead had been reassigned. No explanation, just gone. One of them was a standing weekly sync I'd hosted for over a year. Now it was being led by Jenna, a junior associate I had helped train. No heads up, no thank you, nothing. I shot David a message, trying to stay professional. "Hey, just noticed I've been removed from the Horizon Sync meetings. Let me know if there's been a change in roles or if you need me focused elsewhere." He didn't reply. Not that morning. Not that day. Not the next. It wasn't until Thursday, that I got a one-line email from him. "We've decided to try a new structure. Let's revisit next quarter." No context. No discussion. Just vague corporate nonsense. That week, my inbox started drying up. People stopped including me on project threads. When I walked into a room, conversations shifted. My direct reports suddenly had urgent priorities when I asked them to meet. It was like I'd become invisible overnight. And then came the rumors. I didn't hear them firsthand, but in a place like that, whispers travel fast. One of the more decent analysts, Malik, pulled me aside one afternoon. "Hey man," he said, glancing around. "Just a heads up, David's been saying stuff about you in the manager huddles. That you've become difficult. that you're not showing team spirit. He's painting you like someone who's already halfway out the door. I should have been shocked, but part of me had seen it coming. You see, at Ashford, there was an unwritten rule: you were either all in or you were the problem. And all in didn't just mean doing your job. It meant sacrificing your time, your weekends, your boundaries without complaint. That's how they tested loyalty. By refusing to play that game, I challenged the system. But what struck me the most wasn't David's reaction. It was the silence of everyone else. People I'd supported, mentored, stood up for, now too afraid to even sit next to me at lunch. I wasn't toxic, but I had become radioactive. No one wanted to be associated with the guy who said no. But here's the thing no one saw coming. I had receipts. Every project I'd led. Every report I'd written. Every cape I had crushed. I had it all documented, time-stamped, and stored. Because while David and his crew were busy playing office politics, I was quietly building a case. Not for revenge. Not yet. But for options. Because if they wanted to treat me like I was expendable, I was ready to prove just how valuable I really was. By the time the quarterly review cycle came around, I had made my decision. I wasn't going to fight David directly. Not in a shouting match, not in a meeting, not in front of HR. That's what they expected. Emotional outbursts, defensiveness, weakness. I wasn't giving them that satisfaction. Instead, I started preparing my exit. I updated my resume, not with flashy exaggerations, but with the quiet truth. Numbers, systems I had designed, client retention stats, efficiency metrics. I'd been the engine behind more than half of the successful rollouts in the last 2 years. But you wouldn't know it from how David talked about me now. I also reached out to a few former colleagues who had left Ashford over the past year. We'd kept in touch, vaguely, LinkedIn messages, birthday texts. One of them, Danielle, was now a director at a competitor logistics firm that had recently secured venture funding and was growing fast. When I told her what was going on, she didn't hesitate. Jason, I remember what you did for that Amazon contract in 21. We could use a mind like yours. I'll set up a call with our COO. 2 weeks later, I had a virtual interview. It was relaxed, respectful. They asked smart questions, but they weren't trying to break me, they were trying to understand me. I told them what I'd built, what I'd optimized, what I'd improved without ever being asked. By the end of the call, the COO said, I can tell you're not the kind of person who checks out when things get tough. You just don't tolerate being exploited. We respect that. That hit me hard. Because for months, all I'd heard was that I was not a team player, not flexible, not hungry. But in a single conversation, someone finally saw the truth. I wasn't uncommitted, I was unwilling to be used. 3 days later, I had an offer, 25% higher salary, true 40-hour weeks, stock options, and an actual PTO policy that didn't make you feel guilty for using it. But I didn't resign just yet. No. First, I wanted to finish something I had started, the Horizon Freight implementation. Even though I'd been pushed to the sidelines, they were still using my framework, my back-end system architecture, my documentation. I knew it inside and out. And things were breaking down. Their junior staff didn't understand the logic. Reports were delayed. The client was starting to ask questions. So I started subtly helping again, but only through Slack, only when asked directly, and only during work hours. I watched David squirm when he had to ask me for clarification in front of the team. I kept everything polite, cordial, professional. But I answered every question with precision, proving that the very system he was trying to erase depended on me to function. And just when they were at their most dependent, I handed in my 2 weeks' notice. Wait, now? Right in the middle of Q2 deliverables. David asked, trying and failing to hide his panic. I looked him in the eye and said, I thought you'd prefer someone more committed to take the lead. No anger, no sarcasm, just facts. He didn't respond. But that day, I walked out of his office taller than I had in months. My last day at Ashford was uneventful, which was exactly how I wanted it. No awkward cake, no fake send-off speech. Just me, logging off quietly, returning my badge, and walking out into a crisp Friday afternoon with the kind of clarity I hadn't felt in years. The Monday after, I started my new job at Altura Freight Solutions. The contrast was staggering. On my very first day, my new manager, Priya, said, "We don't reward burnout here." If you can't finish something during the week, it means the workload isn't balanced. Speak up early. I blinked. Was this a test? Nope. She meant it. And she backed it up too. My calendar had blocked off lunch breaks. Meetings were kept under 30 minutes unless absolutely necessary. No weekend emails. No surprise deadlines. Within 2 weeks, I felt like I'd been transported to another universe. But back at Ashford, things were unraveling. Danielle, my contact at Altura, sent me a Slack message one evening with a laughing emoji and a forwarded job listing from Ashford. Urgent, senior operations analyst needed. Immediate start. Experience with Horizon systems a must. I didn't respond at first. Just stared at it. Then Malik, my old coworker, texted me late that night. Dude, Horizon just threatened to walk. Apparently, David tried to improve your system and broke the automated tracking for 3 regions. They lost a major shipment in Ohio. Clients pissed. I didn't gloat. I didn't post passive-aggressive updates on LinkedIn. I didn't even reply to David's desperate email that came a few days later. Hey Jason, hope you're doing well. Wondering if you'd be open to a short consulting call. Some of the systems you designed have a few bugs we're trying to iron out. I left it on read because I was done fixing problems for free. Done offering loyalty to people who measured it by how much of yourself you were willing to sacrifice. The best part? At Altura, I was already being asked to lead a new project. Something similar to what I'd done at Ashford, but with more resources and actual recognition. They didn't just give me a title, they gave me trust. One afternoon, during a team lunch, Priya asked, "You've got a pretty solid track record. Mind if I ask why you left your last company?" I thought for a second, then said with a half-smile, "They said I wasn't committed, because I didn't want to work unpaid weekends." She paused for a beat, then replied, "Sounds like they confused commitment with exploitation." Everyone at the table laughed. I didn't. Not because I didn't agree, but because it was still wild to me that some places got it. In the end, I didn't burn any bridges. I just walked away from a sinking one. And while David scrambled to rebuild what I designed, I was too busy building something better with people who saw value in boundaries, respect, and balanced lives. I wasn't uncommitted. I was just done being taken for granted. It's been 6 months since I left Ashford. Sometimes I still wake up early on Saturdays out of habit, expecting the anxious buzz of my work phone lighting up with weekend requests. But there's no unread message. No calendar invite. No guilt trip email pretending to be urgent. Just sunlight filtering through my blinds and peace. Funny how silence used to mean I was falling behind. Now it means I'm finally in control. At Altura, I've done more in a few months than I did in a full year at Ashford. Not because I'm working harder, honestly, I'm working smarter. I'm focused. I don't carry the weight of unrealistic expectations or tiptoe around ego-driven managers. My ideas are heard. My time is respected. And when 5:30 hits, I shut down my laptop and go live my life guilt-free. The project I'm leading now? It's the biggest Altura has ever attempted, an integrated, multi-region logistics platform that combines predictive analytics with real-time adjustments. Sound familiar? Yeah, it builds on the foundation I laid at Ashford. Only this time, I'm not just the guy behind the scenes. I'm presenting to leadership. I'm setting timelines. I'm hiring people and teaching them not just how to work, but how to protect their time. And I say it out loud in every team meeting. Boundaries aren't laziness. They're sustainability. A few weeks ago, I got a message on LinkedIn from a name I hadn't seen in a while. Jenna, the junior analyst who replaced me on the Horizon sinks. She wrote, "Hey Jason, I hope this isn't weird, but I wanted to say something. I see now how unfairly you were treated. They're still asking people to work weekends for free. I'm trying to push back, but it's hard. You were right. I should have spoken up too. I didn't hold a grudge. I told her I understood. That it's not easy to be the one who says no when everyone else is playing along. That it's okay to wake up later than you should have, as long as you wake up." She thanked me, and I thanked her for saying what others never did. Looking back, I realized it wasn't just about weekends. It was about value. Mine. For years, I let a company define it. They told me my worth was tied to how much I gave up. My time, my evenings, my family. And I believed it until the day I stopped. That day, they said I was uncommitted. What they meant was, I wasn't theirs to control anymore. Now, I'm not just free. I'm thriving. I spend Sundays hiking. I visit my parents more. I have time for side projects, for sleep, for laughter. Things I use to trade for exposure and visibility. And the irony? I've never been more visible. So if you're reading this and you're where I was, exhausted, overlooked, made to feel guilty for wanting a life, hear me. You're not uncommitted. You're just awake. And once you see how little they value your sacrifice, you'll stop offering it for free.